Cool. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Precision Rifle Media. You're going to get this live a little bit ahead of when the actual show comes out because we're doing a live stream here. This is our first ever Precision Rifle Media live stream. I got Dustin with me here today. Dustin flew in all the way from Rapid City, and he's got some new products. We're going to talk about some of their moves and some of that stuff. Dustin, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit here and talk about Cole-Tac. Tell us about it, and we'll carry on.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
Of course.
It's been several years since I've been on the show. But it's been kind of a wild couple of years because we, back in 2021, we moved everything from New Hampshire to Rapid City, South Dakota. So, I knew moving was going to be difficult. I had no idea how difficult moving an entire manufacturing facility, 1,823 miles away, would be.
Oofta.
That drive is miserable, but we did it, and I'm really glad we did it. It's been a great move. We've really been able to grow and expand like we knew we could. It just, it was a little bit tougher out there.
Yeah. Well, once you made the news out here for shooting a pheasant and then also catching it, that was when, and I guess they rolled out the welcome mat.
Yeah, exactly. That was fall of 20 when we were, kind of in that exploratory phase. We looked here, we looked at Wyoming, we considered Texas for a little bit. We kind of had the map was kind of open, and we started trying to find the right place for us. And, the first two big things were gun friendly and business friendly. South Dakota checks those boxes, and that wipes out a whole bunch of states. So there's a lot of states drop off right there. And then, my wife and I, we have 4 kids. So it's, where can we move them and, be happy to raise our kids there and feel comfortable with that. So it kind of really came down. The final two was, Wyoming or South Dakota. And then my wife is not a fan of Eastern South Dakota.
Oh yeah.
And that
Come on now, that's where we are now.
I know we're here, so I got to be careful. But no, it's like the first time when we were talking, going through the list of like possible states, and I'm like, what about South Dakota? She's like, no, because she'd only seen Sioux Falls. And New Hampshire, it's mountainous and beautiful, and I'm like, well, we should really look at Rapid City, and it took a little bit of convincing because she was not about that.
Well, I'll tell you, for anybody who hasn't been to South Dakota, like when you hit Sioux Falls, like there's a right on the border. It's kind of cool. There's a lot of neat hills and stuff. When you get in Sioux Falls, like where I work, is like probably some of the most beautiful part of the whole state. That's now filled with a wastewater plant, a power plant, and a bunch of power lines and transmission lines. But then there's not much to get to the river. But then once you get to the river, it's really cool again, and then kind of boring again, and then once you get to like the Badlands, it starts getting really cool again all the way out to the other side. So I kind of got bamboozled into living in Sioux Falls, right? Because I was coming out hunting all the time with my cousin.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'll just move out here. And he was done with college. He went to SDSU.
Okay.
And then he moved down here. And so then I moved out here, and I moved in with him to kind of help him out a little bit after college and stuff. And I ended up in Sioux Falls. I was like, this isn't what I wanted to be.
I will say you guys have significantly better bird hunting over here. We don't have, the South Dakota is known for bird hunting, except for the Black Hills. Yeah. There's no birds out there.
Yeah.
But it's good. So I'm that the last couple of years have really been trying to get the shop set up. We moved out, 2 of the people from New Hampshire, they came with us all the way. And I'm really grateful. They're rock solid and really appreciate them. And then it's kind of was training a whole batch of sowers again, because that's our that's what we do, is we cut and sow everything right there.
That's an industry that's been on the decline for a long time, I think.
Dead. I call it. It's the sowing. The U.S. sowing is pretty well dead, and we don't really work on trying to hire trained sowers anymore. We just hire good people and teach them how to sow. And it's a hard skill because it's so it's a unique set of skills as far as hand-eye foot coordination. You're trying to run a pedal and putting parts together, and you have to have an eye for quality, and it's like not just a little bit of quality, but like we really push hard for that. So like trying to find people who have those skills is difficult. But what I like about Rapid City especially is it's big enough where we have a good group of people to pull from, and we found some really good employees out there, but it's not so big that I hate my life. We can go 20 minutes outside of town, and we're in the hills, and I can go another 20 minutes the other direction, you're out in the prairie and you can shoot as far as you can see. You know, there's decent BLM land and national grasslands land out there, so you can kind of do what you want. And
that's the nice thing out there is there's a lot more freedom with like the BLM and a lot more public ground that you can go use. Out here, there's a lot of public ground, but a lot of it's either pounded so heavy because there's so many people, or it's, you know, a big chunk of pasture land with cattle on it and it's public ground, but what are you going to do out there? You know,
you're not going to shoot in the herd.
Yeah.
So no, I really like it out there. And we moved into our facility, and then now we're more than doubling our space already because we outgrew it. So we're 2 weeks away from being able to start using the addition, which is just going to be awesome. So so we're in 8,200 square feet. We're adding on over 10,000 square feet, and we're just shoehorned in. We've got every corner has, you know, groups of sewing machines that are just cranking away. We've got sewing machines out in shipping containers. We've got materials out in shipping containers. It's just chaos because we've filled that place so tight that it's actually really difficult. So
yeah, I saw you on a Facebook group, like a industrial sewing group. You're like, how's everybody storing materials? I'm running out of room.
Yeah. That's trying to figure out. And what's crazy is I think tomorrow we've got like 3 pallets of fabric coming, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're sitting there intentionally like setting aside stuff in the containers so we can stick it in there for now, because we were supposed to already be in the new edition. So I ordered that stuff kind of in anticipation for having the space, and like everything else, there's always a delay at the end. But
something happens.
Yeah.
We're waiting on this thing, especially at post-COVID, right?
Yeah.
It's like
electrical, the stuff for the big electrical panel. We've been waiting on parts and pieces forever. And
for us, like at work, just to get like some of the switch gear and stuff, because I'm sure that. Yeah. So I think a lot of your machines are like industrial machines.
Oh yeah.
It's not just like, you know, it's not Betty sewing with her like 42 Singer sewing machine. This is like big giant industrial, like laser guided fancy stuff. But, you know, 3-phase power and all that, I'm sure, you know. And it's just funny, like
some of the smallest components can trip up those big machines, and you're like, oh.
And then to get like I guess like you were saying, the electrical components, to get big CERT 480 and 4160 for any of that stuff. Like we're ordering parts right now at work, and it's like, we'll have them 16 months.
That's
crazy.
Know?
And it's like,
we were able to actually get through COVID without. It got tight with some materials. We've got kind of a weird. Actually, there's a weird thing going on in the nylon industry right now that just is coming out. I'm actually somewhat concerned about. The sole manufacturer for yarn, nylon yarn, Invista, who makes the yarn for Cordura.
Is Invista, is that the same that owns Invista, all the outdoor? No, that's just Vista Group. That's just Vista.
Different. They've said that they are not going to make yarns for Cordura anymore. So it's the sole supplier. So now it's all of a sudden like there's this kind of cloud coming up that we're like, oh, if we can't get the yarn that both the fabric and the webbing and all the other parts and pieces are made from, like where are we gonna get it? But someone will step up and figure it out, or it's just kind of weird to yarn. Who would have thought that nylon yarn?
I wonder why they're getting out of it, if there's something weird.
They can make significantly more money making aviation and automotive yarns that are woven into those fabrics, is what I was told. It's not worth it for them anymore. And there's not, like, again, the U.S. sewing is dead. There's not that many sewers that, like, how much tactical gear is getting made in the U.S. versus how many car seats? Like, is so like they're just focusing their efforts on stuff that they can pump out in higher volumes. And
when I was a kid, my buddy's mom was a sewer. They built slings, nylon slings for lifting ships.
Okay,
that was in Appleton.
Okay, those are. It's kind of crazy what, like, when you, especially when, so I've got, like, when you take it down to the yarn, like how little those fibers are, and like when you weave it together, you pick up a ship with it, and that's just kind of mind-boggling. But yeah, so
she'd get big needles through her thumbs and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've got pictures of employees who've done that.
Yeah, I bet.
But no, so we've got a really good group of people out there, and now we're. What's nice is it's not just. It's not just my wife and I anymore. So we've got a couple managers, we've got a couple engineers that are helping out. We've got a marketing guy that is starting in a month. Actually, another Wisconsin guy from Stout.
Oh yeah.
I hired a Stout grad, and yeah, so it's cool that we got this team going, and it's really allowing us to kind of focus all of our efforts together, and we can come up with newer stuff faster. So like, I don't know if you've noticed, but like as of lately, like all of a sudden now we're starting to pump out more and more.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up. It's, cause like we were talking earlier, I follow things close, and then I got, family and job, and then I try and follow it again. And then, and I kind of come back and I go and I'm like, oh, he's got like backpacks, and he's got like a bunch of cool stuff I didn't know they had,
Right. Yeah. So that's, and I would say that's for us a big thing that we're really trying to push, is really constantly innovating, trying to come up with new products and trying to be smart about it so we can make it in the US, and, and what that looks like, as far as a whole development process. I mean, we have a bunch of sewing processes, but now we're developing that new product development process, and that's fun and exciting, and I'm really enjoying that, and getting a team together, so it's not just me doing all of it, and being I would say now I am the slow wheel, or the slow wheel on the wagon that like they're chomping at the bit to keep going, and I'm trying to keep up. But
yeah, well, it's nice to get fresh eyes too, right? Because like a lot of times you get to doing it right, and I'm gonna make a pouch. How do you make a pouch? I make a pouch like this, and then and what do I want it to do? And then what happens is you're like, okay, I need a pouch for this. Well, it's the same pouch, but it's bigger or whatever, but it's the same thing, you know. But now you're gonna get fresh eyes in, can kind of be like, how do you make a pouch? This is how I'd do it,
right? Exactly. And then and that's what's cool. So our engineers, they're both gun guys that they like this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm a little sour. The one's been off at National Guard training for the last like 5 months.
Oh yeah.
But but he's like an absolute gun geek, and I love it because like it's so fun to watch, someone sit there and tinker on a hobby, because like they're just like they start building stuff that they want for themselves, and usually it's if they want it, like there's probably other people who want to do it.
Right.
And that's kind of the beauty of manufacturing our own gear, and that's why I really like making our own gears. We can take some of those risks, design risks, where like it might work, it might not, but we're going to do a small run, and if people like it, good, and if not, we didn't order a shipping container from China.
Yeah.
And we're not sitting on this that now we have to try to find ways to move and sell. But I will say manufacturing in the US is frustrating, because it's a lot of work and planning and trying to get all the pieces together. So
and then just the worker shortage. I was talking to a guy I'm like, well, move out to Sioux Falls, you get a job out here. He's like, well, doing what I do, I know I could. I'm like, buddy, if you can breathe, you can get a job.
Right. Yeah.
If you can show up to work and have a
semi-sober. Semi-sober.
Exactly.
It's not even fully sober.
Well, are you on hard drugs? No. Great.
If you said no drugs, then people start getting concerned, right?
Yeah, right.
No. But and it's neat to see, how over these years, how the sport itself has transitioned, I guess. And it
went from, in my opinion, it went from much more like of a tactical game, right?
Yep.
To a much more sport game, right? It went from like a bunch of people being like, because a lot of them were law enforcement or military at one time, or current or whatever.
Right.
And now it's so big and there's so much. It's like, I don't care if it's camouflage. Give me the neon color. Like look at Swanee out in Michigan.
Yeah.
Right? He's got all that crazy just graffiti up painted, like super urban looking stuff. It's super cool,
Yeah.
And it's like it's just funny because it's like the opposite of what 15 years ago it was,
Right. Yeah. I shot a match out in Pueblo. He moved out to Colorado.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was still in Michigan.
No. So he has a giant, it's a really cool spot, just outside of Pueblo, but the town is not thrilled about having shooting happen. It's 2,000 or 2,200 acres. I mean, it's just this huge chunk of property that I think he's just managing it. But yeah,
Pueblo's not happy about it.
Well, it's the
whatever town he's by.
Yeah, it's in between Pueblo and the mountains.
Okay,
and they are giving him the hardest time.
Really?
We had to be like Swanee was like, they didn't want anybody standing on the roads, like walking, because like there were some stages where you could, if you wanted to like get out on the road, it was a shorter walk. Just stay off the roads. Just don't litter anything. He's like, we have eyes on us like crazy.
Man, that would drive you. It's public right away. I mean, how can they stop people from walking on the roads?
Well, they sat there and they put up so many different fights, and like he's like, please go down to the local brewery and after the match and support them, so that way he can say it's bringing business. And it really, like this town, I can't remember what town it is. It's in the middle of it. It's tiny.
There's a lot of middle of nowhere towns down in southern Colorado,
right? And I mean, the big thing that they have going there is it's right next to the federal prison. And he's like, all you have is the prison. Like, let's have something else in the area. But I really like Swanee because it's like just I think it's just what's it saying? Get out and shoot, or get out and have fun. And it's like heck yeah, and
exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
You sit there, you get some people who every once in a while still get on the well, you're gonna skyline and someone's gonna see the reflection off of that action. And it's like, I'm not shooting at people. I'm going out. I like to shoot targets at long distance.
Mm-hmm.
I like to have fun with it. I like to smile. I like to hunt too. I mean, that's a big part of it too. But when it comes to the sport itself, like just go out and have fun and build your skills better. And don't get so worked up.
Yeah, exactly. I was just talking to a guy. Well, actually, it was Chris Winkie from Wolf Den.
Oh,
do you know him?
I know of him. Yep.
Yeah. He's a good dude. That's what we were talking about too. It's like, because he does government training and he does civilian training.
Right.
What's the difference? Well, the civilian one's for fun.
Right. Well, and I think, there's a lot to be had where, even military people, real people who actually use this as a profession, they're picking up a lot of skills, and it doesn't have because you're still learning how to build a stable position. You're still learning about, trying to read wind. I mean,
it's not going to make you a worse shot,
right,
and then you can carry those skills over to that.
Exactly.
But 95%
right.
of us are just out there to
spend
money.
Yeah. Spend money and have fun. And yeah. But it's kind of fun to see that progression, because it definitely has kind of changed from more tactical to more fun. And I think, we were talking about earlier, the Guardian matches, before it was kind of like Guardian matches. And I still, to this day, I'll stand by saying, if you're trying to shoot your first match and you're intimidated about anything, Guardian is the one. Go shoot a Guardian match. But I would say,
even if you're just looking to just go have fun, there's such a blast, because there's no pressure, and it's a bunch of people that don't have pressure, and you're not competing for some points race. You're just out there to support a good cause, have fun, shoot stuff long distances,
Right. But I think, and that was a really good thing for back then. And I think PRS now and NRL, whatever series you want to go with, I think they've kind of, because it's gone less tactical and more fun, I think that intimidation of the first match isn't as great as it used to be for a new shooter.
I agree.
Which is a good thing. So I just want more people to get involved. I think it's a great hobby. It's a great pastime. It's a great thing for kids to do.
It teaches a lot of good skills. Like I was talking to my wife about it. My kid, so I brought Easton to an ELR event, and he just loved it. It was, Garrett and all those guys, Jeff and Ed, and all those Wisconsin guys we met up out here for a match, and he came with. And of course, we stayed up late, and they grilled steaks and stuff. I'd never seen the kid eat a steak in his life, and all the men are eating steaks, and he's sitting there,
he's one of the men, right? And so that's, what I think that's so cool. I really get a kick out of going to matches, and like there's a handful of kids that are shooting, and I think it's awesome to see. And as long as it's a welcoming environment, I think we can get more and more of that, and that's what we need. So
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. That's and the thing, like Easton, like we were talking earlier, he's 6, so like you bring him to, and I think he was 5 at the time,
right?
I think he was 5 when we went to the match, and it was like, but the thing about those ELR matches is there's one stage,
Right.
There's one spot they're shooting from. You're kind of hanging out most of the day.
Yeah.
And then it's your turn to shoot. You shoot your 15 rounds, whatever, 25 rounds, and then you move on. So it's really easy to bring a young kid with, and he can run around. And then everybody's all excited to see the kid running around, So he's getting all kinds of extra attention and stuff. If you go to a PRS event, it's a little bit harder. Everybody's real serious, and then there's a good reason, right? Because you're on a time crunch all day, and you're trying to win, and you're trying to get points for the series, and it's it's not
right.
I don't want to say it's less. I don't want to say it's like more serious or whatever than the ELR stuff, but it's definitely more work in the when you're there doing it, right? ELR has a lot of work to build up to go do it,
right? But the day of, in my experience anyway, there's not as much going on, so it's a lot easier to bring him. So that was, I don't know. I want to bring him. He wants to come to a PRS event, but we'll see. Right. So I have not done an ELR event, and I really want to. I'm hoping to this summer. But
they just opened up registration for the one in Gregory.
At H Bar.
No, Lazy J.
Lazy J. Okay, I'm gonna have to.
Okay, I'll get you. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Cool. But yeah, so I want to do that, but I'm also hoping this summer. So NRL Hunter, I want to take my son because we try to go out hunting as much as possible.
Definitely.
And the NRL Hunter, and I would have him shoot it, and I would just be his coach. Yeah. And we would literally treat it like, our real hunting search. Like, all right, let's get up, let's start glassing. All right, do you find it? Okay. Like just being able to communicate with him, like, all right, over that third ridge, there's a clump of pines. Look there. Man. Oh, okay. And so I want to do that.
I know. Real quick, this is just a funny story. So the deer on the wall over here.
Yeah.
I'm showing you.
Yeah.
So we're out hunting. It's the first time I ever took my wife out hunting, right? She's got a statewide doe tag, and I got this buck tag, and the ranch that we were supposed to hunt, they called us on the way out there and said, hey, the guy that leases it says you can't hunt out there. Oh. So we're on our way out there. Tags for this county. There's not a ton of public land. So whatever. I'm like, that's fine. There's some public land over here. We'll go try that. So we get out there earlier in the morning. I don't know. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be, but so we're sitting kind of on this high ground, and we're looking out over just a ton of land, and some cows over there, and you can see some guys a mile and a half out over this way or whatever, and the orange bebopping around. And then my wife starts going, there's a deer right there. So I'm looking, I'm like, where? She's like, it's by the pond. There's a pond like a mile away, right?
Oh god.
She's like, it's in front of the pond. It's in front of the pond. So I'm looking out in front of this pond, I'm thinking like it's trying to get a drink or something, and she's like, no, it's way closer than you think. It's like 75 yards in front of us. Gosh. So just that communication, it's important.
Especially if you're going to hunt as a group partner, I think that'd be a fun, the event itself will be fun. And then we can go home with a set of skills, hopefully, or improve our skills that we then can use, wherever we end up hunting next. And so,
definitely.
Yeah, that I'm hoping to do more of that this summer. So I keep saying I'm going to shoot more every summer, and then life happens. And my oldest is graduating high school here in a couple weeks, and so getting her ready to go, and then every kid,
she gonna go to Stout too?
No, she's going to River Falls.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but she wants to be a vet. But so it's getting her ready to go, and then all the other kids have different activities. So it's like I'm looking at my calendar already, and it's like
I know.
This weekend's filled up. This weekend's filled up, and I'm like,
and then you blank off the wrong weekend.
Right. Yeah. Oh gosh. That's my calendar. I look at it, and it's filled all the way through. And I'm like, I just want to go out and shoot.
I know that's kind of, I was talking to, Theory. We were talking about Theory earlier. Theory's like, man, come shoot a match. I'm like, dude, I know, but it's expensive, and I'm not very good at it. And
but I enjoy it.
I enjoy it, but it's like,
Yeah. So there's a pretty sweet match every October out in Rapid City. Denny Man puts it on.
Yeah.
And it's a belly match, and usually it involves the day before we do a 22 match, and then
nice.
But it's again low key, and usually grilling and beer involved afterwards. And
does Matt still run that match out in Wall? Matt Eisenbrun? He used to run the Deep Creek Outfitters match for years, but
I don't think so.
Might be a little bit, might have got tired of running that.
Yeah. I don't know. Running.
That was a fun match though. With him.
I will say I don't know how match directors do it. I have to tip my hat to them, because it's a ton of work to put on a match and to put it on well. And, I've always thought about like, oh, we should, we could get a match set up for out, we could run a match. And I'm like, it sounds great in my head. And then all of a sudden I start like mentally putting the checklist together. I'm like, nope, I'm out.
I know that's the thing. I was just talking to, so the show that I recorded last night when we were kind of whatever. And, I was talking to Chris Upfer doing and that's what we were talking about. I'm like, just dealing with the guys to try and get a prize table put together would just be, because it's like I do the podcast. I might talk to a guy for 2 years before he makes it to the show.
Right. Yeah.
But it might be 4 hours of planning to do the 1 hour of show and then 3 hours of back end work just to get it posted. It's the same thing, I imagine, with trying to wrangle up, especially high end prizes, right? Because they're like, well, what makes you worth having $15,000 worth of scope on the prize table?
Right.
And it's well, we're going to have fun.
Right. Well, and I will say
they support us well, though. I mean,
right.
Cole-Tac, especially, I can't think of a match I've been to that didn't have Cole-Tac on that.
And that I will say that's really difficult because we get a lot of sponsorship requests, and we really try to give something to everybody. And we've really kind of narrowed down as far as like if it's a long range match, we're going to sponsor it. Some of the other like, Ducks Unlimited, even though I like Ducks Unlimited, but it's like we've just kind of like you had to draw lines and like
well, the problem with the Ducks Unlimited type of stuff was like, for one, you don't do waterfowl gear,
right?
And for two, like it's like me and my kid do Ducks Unlimited. He loves it, right? He gets crazy with the auction. He's loves it,
right?
And but there's a lot of stuff there that you're like, you appreciate that it's there, but it's the crowd isn't the crowd to appreciate the stuff sometimes.
Right.
So you see it you see it all the time at Ducks Unlimited. It's like, well, that's a weird out of place prize,
right?
You appreciate them doing it, but it's like, and it's kind of the same thing, I think, right? It's like you've got to think of bang for your buck for advertising,
exactly.
And a lot of times those ones, it's a local company, that then people see that and they think, oh, okay, well,
I bought we have a South Dakota Youth Hunting Adventures group that out in Rapid City there that takes kids who don't get a chance to get out. That lets them to get, they get a mentor. It's part of the Boys and Girls Club.
Sure.
So they have a big fundraiser every year, and I ended up buying at the end the last one because I didn't buy anything. I felt bad. They had a Valentine's Day pack present because it was like the week before Valentine's Day.
Oh, sure.
And it had a little gold necklace and a dozen roses and it was donated from local shops there in town. I'm like, perfect. I didn't have anything planned yet. So, that worked.
That's great. That's perfect.
But it's that we try to avoid being that kind of, unless it's a local event,
Right. Same thing. Man.
Yeah. So, but those match directors trying to hound down and, try to put up a good case to say, hey, it is worth it to send us stuff because we've got this many people, and and especially for our gear, long range matches, like that's like the focus group.
That's
like
what it is,
right? Like it's hard to get that much, like that type of concentration of potential, either current customers or potential customers in one area. So that's why for us, we want to help match directors, but we also have a business case that like we see a return on giving to those, and it's been.
Well, it's like my show with Chris. I told him, I'm like, run through the list of people that are sponsoring you so far, because like they're the ones that support us and we should support them. You know, and it's like, so it was like, it's a long list, dude. It's like when you get towards the end, you're like, man, but it's good. You got to give the people the exposure because that's what they're there for. And,
exactly.
And like I said, they're the ones that support us, and it's a big do around. So speaking of prize tables and stuff, let's see. I know you brought some stuff in to check out.
So I mean,
it's been a while since I've seen a lot of the new stuff. Like I said, I opened up the Cole-Tac website and I was like, a backpack.
Well, so here we'll talk about this. So, our day pack, we got this guy right here, and I will say,
you want to turn the camera just a little bit for you, or
again, you can tell I can pick out U.S. manufacturing versus Asian manufacturing really quick because like you can tell what Asian manufacturing can get away with versus what US manufacturing. And I was actually really proud of this design. This took us forever as far as like we've got some complex curves going on where and getting this pattern to fit right. But we don't, it's not a lot of frills and extra like straps. And kind of the beauty with this is it being a simpler, smaller pack like this is it's stupid light. We've got a little divider in the back here. We've got a zippered nylon or a zippered mesh pouch on the inside. So like it works perfect for going out for the day. I actually shoot all my matches. So this is one thing that I've done for a guy whose business is try to sell more stuff to shooters. I'm literally like, I take this size back. I have this backpack, ammo, a little toolkit, snacks and water, and like a couple like 2 support bags, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you see some of these people who are like, they're trekking out like mountains of gear, and I'm like,
well, that's that little pack I pulled the bag out of that you made for me years ago.
Yeah.
That's all I carry, just that one little pack.
Yeah. So this was actually a big departure from a lot of our other designs, just because it's got more styling. And
it's funny, like when you talk to the guy who's in the manufacturing versus the people who are just like buy it because it's cool. You're like, we're really proud of this. This takes a lot of work to do this.
It does.
And it's not, I'm not knocking the product. It's not, it's just a little curved piece of fabric. But like when you talk about manufacturing and putting stuff together, it's funny that it's like, it's like anything, right? It's my father-in-law. This is one of like the biggest quotes he ever said that I just was like, that nails it on the head. If it looks easy, it's not. And if it looks hard, it's not being done right.
Right.
And like, that's definitely one of those things, right?
Well,
like,
just trying to get someone, because like, most of this sewing, I don't know, we don't automate. There is not a single step on other than cutting. Everything gets cut out on the CNC, but otherwise everything else is hand sewn. So like trying to get people to follow these lines like that. I mean, it takes a ton of work and training, and so I really like this just because it's good for going out for the day. And then we're sitting there, and like what we find too is we're refreshing older products. So like I brought these because I think this is one of our more popular products. They're tripod leggings.
Oh yeah.
So like people love the tripod leggings, but like after a while, all of a sudden I'm looking at it, I'm like, that was designed by me in the basement of our house in New Hampshire when it was just my wife and I, and like we only had to make a handful of them, and now we're sitting there cranking away, and it's just like it's what we could get away with, or like our capabilities as far as like how we could cut stuff out, how we could mark it, how we could sew it together. It was 2016 designing, where now it's like, all right, well, we've got lasers, and like what I didn't like about the old one as far as like trying to lace up anything on the molly, once it was on, it was basically impossible. So we made it have a flap, so that way you can keep the leggings on, so the leggings stay on, you can lace it up, and it's clean, it's easier for us to manufacture. It has more adjustability. So that was another thing, is like some of these tripods, there's so many different size tripods now.
Well, it used to be, what did you have? You had like a Manfrotto.
Yep.
And then there was like I can't think of, there was like Manfrotto was it for the longest time.
Right.
And then there was a couple cheaper ones, and now there's just options.
So just having, so updating, old designs and having those kinds of things has been a big one.
Talking about designing stuff back when you were in New Hampshire, it's funny. My wife, she's like, how did he get into all this? I'm like, he bought something, and his wife looked at it and was like, I could do that better. And he was like, well, then do it. And now here they are.
that's the story. I mean, same thing. So like our whoopee bag, like we just did this version of it now, and it's this stretch material, and I like these are going bananas because cool. So like
it's got a nice feel to it too, just as far as like
it's like Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
The old Stretch Armstrong dolls. But like you can, because it's stretchy.
Can you take fill out? Is that what this is?
Yeah. Just be careful, because it will go flying. It's funny.
That's as far as I'm getting in there.
Yeah, it's funny. Just the other day we had someone come into our shop.
Cool. It's like, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but like when you squeeze it, it's got like pull to it. It's
but it allows for a lot of.
You could take a nap on this thing,
right? But it gives for a lot of vertical travel as far as like when you squeeze it. Where if it's solid fabric, like it gets to its limit and then
it's
stop.
done.
Right. Yeah. Where this, like, I mean, you can keep going and going and going. And so like I find that thing to be, that's my new go-to like rear bag because it's just
this thing is sweet.
Yeah. Another product that has been just a crazy hit. So the Garmin Zero.
Oh yeah,
like freaking phenomenal.
Oh dude,
but they shipped it.
Their release times, their everything, they crushed it. They just, dude, they had it figured out.
I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that, I wanted to ride their coattails a little bit because like it changed, like it beat everything else out on the market by like years and years, like by a long ways. But luckily they sent it in just a cardboard box, and like so it was funny. I saw it get released, and I knew someone who had one earlier on, and they're like, yeah, it just comes in a cardboard box. I'm like, do you think they're going to do that for the full launch? And they're like, I don't know. So the day it launched, I overnighted. I bought one from Garmin, had paid for the overnight shipping. So it's like they released on a Friday. We got ours on Monday, and by Friday we had launched. It's nothing too crazy, but a zippered pouch that, you got a spot for the tripod.
Here, hold it up into the camera.
Yeah, so you got a little spot here for the tripod. You got a little mesh pocket here for the main body, and it actually works with both the Gray Ops and the Area 419 mounts, so that way you can just leave them on. A little pocket over here for cables, and like this thing, like we have been just cranking away trying to keep up with these because like so many of those Zeros have been sold. Like it's just,
dude, they came out and everybody was like, this is the only thing to have now. And everybody went, like, I talked to a guy, he doesn't even shoot precision rifles.
Right.
And he's like, I'm like, what are you doing with this? He's like, well, my AKs are shooting good. I'm like, what?
AKs?
I'm like, what are you doing with an AK and a Zero? I mean, I guess whatever.
Whatever. I mean, I've used it quite a bit for archery. Like getting bows. Like,
dude, I guess they work great for it.
It works phenomenal. And
because somebody said, somebody said they were shooting something. Maybe it was a bow. It was something though, and they said it didn't drop a shot. Because like that's a problem with like some of the like the older lab radar and stuff.
Right.
Is even suppressed stuff, they would drop the shot. Well, they said they were shooting like bows over it and it wasn't dropping. That's amazing.
Bows. I've got air rifles, so we've got like the big boy air rifles.
Oh yeah, the real ones. Yeah.
It doesn't drop a shot. And what's cool is especially when you have the mount hooked up, either on rifles or whatever if you have the Area 419 or the Gray Ops mounts, it's always aimed in the right direction. So like shooting over this, off in this direction, then you aim over here, shooting off in this direction, like it just aims with you, and you can have it even if you just have it on the tripod. The range as far as how much you can have it out of aim and still have it pick it up. It's I don't know what kind of magic sauce Garmin has inside there, but I mean it just killed it. So yeah, the little Garmin, it's the chronograph pouch for the Garmin Zero. Yeah. We had to. Yeah. But
copyrights and whatnot.
Right. Well, and I don't want to. I respect people's intellectual property, but yeah. So like, these have been awesome, and we timed it perfect as far as like just being the first one out and just and marketing it, and then more and more we've been, because I really enjoy hunting, and I'm trying to do more and more of it. We're starting to do some more hunting centric style products. So like this is our Trekker bag, and it's like the cuddle bags that we've always had, where kind of same concept, but just a lot smaller, a lot thinner. So when I'm out hunting now, I bring this, and it works great as a rear bag, a front bag, also as a glassing pad. So like I'll sit down.
I was going to say that. I was going to say I could see using that to sit down and, because it's amazing how much warmer you'll stay with just a little bit of a pad between you and the ground.
Right. Yeah. So, kind of having that dual purpose and
you could strap it to your belt in the back so that when you don't have to worry about carrying it around.
Exactly. So yeah. And it's light enough that you really don't notice it's there, but it makes a big difference. And I think that's something that we're really trying to push now too, is, we've seen a lot of these tools being used for competitive shooting for a while. And, some of it hasn't migrated over to the hunting world quite yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, people aren't taking longer shots, or people generally don't hunt at longer distances, but I think more and more people are,
especially like for predator control. Like,
right.
There's dudes that are like, man, I won't shoot at a deer past 100 yards. And like, there's a coyote like 400 yards away, and they're like, let's try.
Yeah. Right. But, and I think with the advancement of, advancements of the rifles, ammo, optics,
Rangefinders.
rangefinders, ballistic solvers. Like people are
even like just talking about the chronographs, right?
yeah.
Even just that made a huge difference, because pre that you had the optical where you shot, you set the little thing up with the
gosh.
and then and they weren't real accurate, and then
and you get a weird cloudy day and then it wouldn't work.
Then you'd have to go true your solver to your drops to make sure that it was all like jiving or whatever, and then where like this stuff you shoot over it and you're like realistically I've seen people shoot one time and be like, that's what I'm gonna run.
yeah. So so I think with some of those advancements, people are starting to take longer shots, and so like the old day of just like throwing your rifle down on your backpack, it works out to a distance, but like if you're especially if you're going to take a shot on an animal, like you owe it to them to do the best you can and not just be winging shots,
to be confident in the shot.
Right. And so having some of these tools are, I think, is really, really important. And it's more, again, it's stuff that I'm like, I want to have a really light bag to take with me hunting that I can sit with. And so we make it. And, it's just, again, it's just stuff that I want personally, or, one of my engineers probably. And then we just start tinkering and make it and find a way to make it right. So that's a neat one.
Yeah.
And then now here we go.
What's this filled with?
Expanded polypropylene. So
like the insulation type stuff.
No, it's a little
styrofoam.
It's not styrofoam.
Oh,
that's
looks like I offended you.
No, I'm not offended. But the fill, fill is like a tough thing. Expanded polypropylene won't compress like styrofoam does. So like our old cuddle bags, if you sat on them, they would slowly like the beads flatten out, and then people would send them back and we'd refill them. And but like this stuff, it never does. And I would say, one thing that we've also learned is all of our bags now have adjustable fill ports, because we're tired of the game of like trying to get the exact amount of fill, because everybody has their own preference. And so this one, we always send them a little bit overstuffed. So that one, it's easier to take it out than to try to add. So like most people will sit there and dump out a cup or of fill out of that, and then that makes it a little bit better, and you get a little bit more range. So
it's super light too, like you said. Like this is like it's like full, and I'll bet you if you threw it on a scale, it'd be like 2 ounces.
It's like 4.5. Yeah, but it's light enough that I take it with me, and I don't really worry about it.
Yeah.
And then so this one we're coming out with, it's releasing on next Friday. So the Spartan mat. So again, can be used as like a glassing pad. But how often when you go out to the range do you sit there and say, son of a gun, I didn't bring my mat? Or like, do you bring a shooting mat with you all the time?
No.
Why?
Because when I shoot over here, I just lay in the back of the truck.
Okay. Well, so like,
but I used to all the time, every time. What I had was a cheap junk Amazon.
Yeah.
It was a rifle case thing that folded up together, and I actually liked it, but it felt they'd fall apart.
Right. So I hate big bulky mats that are like, I just don't take.
The thing. That's why I like this one, because it was a rifle case, so I didn't have to have anything extra.
Got it.
You know what I mean? That was the advantage. I didn't have to have something extra. It was just there.
Right. So this guy, it looks small, but it's an accordioned shooting mat that is big enough that like your torso and under region is protected from the rocks. And because like I would always find myself like I'm going to a match and 0 day, and it's like, oh crap, I didn't bring a mat, because like it's just a pain in the butt to roll them out.
It's another piece of gear that you're dragging with you. You got your rifle, you got your bag, you got your.
So I wanted something small enough that, and it actually fits perfectly. We designed it so it fits perfectly in the back slot of the day pack, so you get a little bit of a frame out of it.
Oh, nice.
And then you have a shooting mat when it's all laid out enough to where you're out of the crud. So it's kind of dual purpose stuff.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's easy to fold out, easy to put away.
I like it. This would be another thing, like talking about like with that. You know what I would do? Oh boy.
Okay, let's hear it.
Take this and put a pouch that'll hold that.
Then you got a
then
twofer.
You could use it to sit on, and then if you were going to get someplace to glass, and you're like this year, I was laying down glassing because it was, because of where I was laid way back because we were way on a ridge, right?
Yeah.
So I was laid way back with my binos, up like this here.
Yeah.
And if I'd have had this built into there, I could have had both of them. I could have had something up on my back and then keep me dry on the bottom side.
Yeah. So,
or even just hold on. Might be onto something here.
Just burrito it.
Yeah, I was gonna do this.
There you go. New product development done.
Something like that.
There you go.
Or even with this, I suppose you could strap it in there.
Strap it around, too. Yeah. So,
but then you got both of them right there, and then I mean, you're never gonna.
Yeah.
It doesn't add any weight like at all, hardly, and then you've got extra support here too.
Right. So yeah. So we've been doing that. We're actually working on some other really cool hunting products that I'm pretty excited about that we're a little bit further away, but it's been a lot of hunting type stuff that we're trying to carry over from the competitive shooting world. And what's neat is seeing how like the designs are progressing and our manufacturing capabilities are progressing, and like seeing that getting transferred over to other people within the shop, so that way like we can actually make stuff competitively here in the US. Because I mean, it's still every piece of gear that comes out has the lady or guy who sews it out, they sign it, and it's just trying to give that personal touch, because it is like a person putting their like effort into it, and I want them to like be proud of it when they're done. Like, heck yeah, I signed this. So it's neat to see how this stuff has progressed over the years, and then now looking forward, like where we're going next, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Where are you going next?
Well, I mean, so
well, you brought it up.
We've got a couple of what I said hunting products. The one that is, so I'm really opening the bag here. We're in South Dakota. There is not a South Dakota company making a bird vest.
Huh.
We are a good way into that development, but I would say that's one of the bigger like technical developments that we've ever undertaken.
Sure.
As far as like trying to be smart and have a bunch of different features. And I know it's completely different than the precision rifle world, but like there's a lot of people who like bird hunting, and so I know
and a lot of people that like precision rifle shooting like bird hunting. I mean,
well, and it's also going to have it's going to be interchangeable where you can have a hip pack for hunting. So like for regular rifle hunting, you can take off the bird storage area and put on a hip pack, and it's actually,
see, that's cool. I like that. That's the kind of stuff that I like. I like that, like dual like this thing where I'm trying to wrap that into there. Like, I don't know why, that's how my brain works. I like to have a lot of stuff with one
base or
one. I like to have one very versatile piece of equipment instead of 15 things I'm trying to stuff together.
Right. So we've got that. We've got actually a kind of a refresh of our Rifle Guardian coming out. That's been a very popular product. We've got a list of products a mile long that we're in various states of development. Some that are there, we have several that are done and ready to go. We're just waiting for a hole in the production line. And that's what's hard is like, all right, we're going to release this product, and then we have a hole in the schedule that we can fit it in. And then all of a sudden some contract order comes in. It's like, oh, yeah. And it's like, it's the double, it's not like
it's good, but it's
it's like, oh, but I really wanted to do,
I wanted to do this,
the new stuff,
but I got to do this.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, but it's fun to constantly be tinkering and to be growing and trying to hire more people, train more people. It's really frustrating, but at the same time, it's really rewarding.
Yeah.
It's so cool to watch someone who, comes in with like zero sewing skill, and where are they at after the first week, and then, 2, 3, 4 weeks in, all of a sudden, like, you give them a couple months and they're just sewing away and crushing it. Yeah. And, with that too, we're trying to really build our designs to be very similar. So that way, like the theory behind the design is the same. So that way, if they get, if they're really good at like this Garmin pouch,
Chronograph pouch.
the chronograph pouch. Sorry, thank you. The chronograph pouch. We have some other designs that where it's that same concept but just stretched a little bit different. Change the radiuses out, change the internal guts of it, but like the general concept as far as like, okay, we need to put the zippers in.
This is how zippers go in a pouch.
Exactly. So like, just trying to really build on those skills so that way, or use those same skills over in other designs. So we're not trying to have to relearn everything, and that's been a fun adventure.
Yeah. No, that's and that makes sense too, just all the way around, right?
Yeah.
Because once you get good at it, just keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, and right. And yeah. And so like if we sat there and handed the chronograph pouch to somebody and said, okay, but it's going to be 8 inches taller, they're gonna be like, okay, I know what to do. I just sew a little bit further and and so
a longer straight line.
Yeah, a longer straight line. And so we try to be efficient with our designs that way too. And I would like the CNC fabric cutting machine. I mean, one of these times, if you ever make it out on that side of the state, you got to swing in because like what that thing is capable of.
Did you do a video on that with the big lasers and it's got a big table in it? Or did you send me that video or something, or what was it?
We post about it, and
I've seen the video.
Right. Yeah, we post about it quite a bit.
That
but
big
like
giant robot,
space
age looking.
Yeah, and like so it sits there and draws where like so if you were to pull off this underneath, there's a pen mark. That is the outline. It has an L with an arrow pointing up. So like
logo goes up.
The ladies sit there, they see it. They're like, okay, like if it's on this one or any other new product, like they know that stuff. And so we're trying to build, where all the parts go together, they're all labeled already and they just get hidden in the seams. So like, it really makes a big difference as far as like how we can still make stuff in the US and try to be competitive. And I mean, it is a rough game because there is still a lot of people, and I would say the precision rifle world isn't as bad, but like there's a lot of people when they see something they're like, oh, this should be $9 on Amazon, and it could it could be like if it was made in China by people who hate us with slave labor and with junk materials. So yes, you can do that if you want, but well,
that's the thing about the precision rifle world, though. It comes back to like what I was saying before. The people who support us are the people who we support, right? We're good. There's definitely a back and forth both ways. Like the thing about this world is it's small,
right?
And it's small, and everybody's got a guy, right?
Yeah,
and I got to get a bag. We can get it from I can get it from my guy,
right? Yeah, and so I think the precision world is really it's a good home for like-minded people that like you said. Want to support each other,
and most gun people too, right? Like they're very pro America and pro American made and pro, and
it definitely that helps because we're never going to be able to compete with them with Asia or imports with pricing. We won't be able to, but we can come up with cooler designs that are more tailored, especially for like this sport. And we can,
and like you said, you could make 50 of those and see how it works instead of ordering 500 and being like, oh boy.
So I don't know, Brooke, my operations manager, we did a run. I don't know if you saw it, the multicam rainbow day pack. Mm-hmm. So the day pack, it has all those different panels. We have one each. So there's 5 different multicam patterns. You have regular multicam, black multicam, tropic, alpine, and arid. So all the panels are different versions of multicam. And so I'm like, Brooke, this is going to be the best idea ever. We're going to do this. And she's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We're never going to sell any of them. And we've sold some. It wasn't as
awesome as you were hoping.
No. But you know what? But that's the thing. We took a small risk. We made a small run, and they're about to be gone. And when they're gone, they're gone.
Well, there you heard it here. That's a limited edition.
Yeah, Brooke. If I put that back on the schedule, Brooke would delete that off in a heartbeat. So no, it's nice to be able to take risks like that, and like we're not gonna lose out too bad on it. But,
no.
So but
awesome.
Yeah,
man, that's cool. It's great to see, like, because I remember the very first times you were coming on, and you were just like in
Right.
your garage.
Yeah.
And you were like an engineer working for whoever you were working for,
Ruger.
and Ruger,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, this is just kind of a side thing now. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy is like you think back. So we started in 2015. So like coming up here on 10 years, and like where, yeah, like the first time when we talked, I was in my garage or maybe even my basement, and it was just, at the time I thought, well, it's just going to be a little side gig for my wife and I, and I'm going to keep working at Ruger forever because that was my dream job. I moved from Wisconsin out there to take that.
To take it, yeah.
So like, I couldn't have thought of a better thing. And then they, this slowly started going. And I think, part of it, why it took off is because we started supporting matches more and, and got on the prize table. And then, so it allowed for more people to see our gear and also to see that we support them. So then they supported us. And like, it's just been this big giant wheel just rolling. Right. And, I'm really appreciative of like the community as a whole.
The first things you were doing was suppressor covers.
And still to this day, suppressor covers are one of our biggest items still. And now with, I don't know if you've seen wait times. Have you seen Form 4 wait times?
Oh yeah. I was just talking to
same day.
About that. Yeah.
Same.
Oh, I know. I was talking to Chris about it because Silencer Shop here in town.
Yeah.
His match, they're gonna have 11 cans.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cans are always one of those things where I was never like, it's see them up for like a 50% off or something. And
right.
It's like, that's cool. And I'd like to have it, but I also don't want to have to wait 11 months and do the thing.
Right.
Well, now it's like you said, same day, a day, a week.
It's like whatever the ATF, I don't know if the ATF just didn't like turn on the switch to like let the computers do it or what, but like something happened and now it's just like, bam. And honestly, suppressor manufacturers are having a hard time keeping up right now.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're
used to having a 10-month delay.
Right. And I would say for us, even like, usually you have people who they go out shooting for the first time with a suppressor and then they're like, okay, I need a cover.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
And so
as soon as you get that first bout of Mirage, you're like,
oh boy. Yeah. So like,
because I saw that suppressor bag that you guys make now that's got all, it's like looks like a little silo, looks like a little tank silo field storage that's got like
5 of them. Yep. Yeah. So like, that's crazy to see how fast those are flying off the shelves. And it went like overnight. Like all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, we know how to do this. And it's just processing paperwork like crazy, which I mean, I still stand by.
That's good.
And we shouldn't have to process them at all. But I get it. I'm not naive to think that will ever happen, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, me too.
But
it's like I got my FFL, and it's like, I know, I wish you didn't I wish you could still mail order them too. All right. But you can't.
Right. Yeah. So suppressor covers.
So my grandpa talks about getting his first gun. Yeah. You're 12 years old. You just send in $12 to Sears and Roebuck and they'd send a 12-year-old a shotgun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember when I was a little kid, I was like 12 or 13 and I went squirrel hunting and I walked from the house into town with the 22 squirrel hunting the whole way down the railroad tracks. I don't know what I was thinking, but I hid the 22 in the culvert so I could go into the store, walked in the store, bought, 2 bricks of 22 for like 49 cents a piece or something.
Yeah.
And like, they didn't blink an eye. They're like, okay, yeah, you want some ammo? Okay. Yeah. Have fun.
Yeah. I 100%. I remember that too.
Yeah.
I don't think it was legal to sell it to somebody under 18, but they didn't care. It
was
just a small town hardware store. And they were like, oh yeah.
Yeah. It was across the street from my dad's shop. So like, if I did anything, nefarious, they would have just walked over and told my dad. But it was, it's interesting to see how that's changed.
Me and my buddy back in Appleton, the Appleton area, his grandma had a bunch of ground by Appleton.
Yeah.
It was like some of the best. You could go out there just about any time of the year and shoot your limit of mallards.
That's cool.
It was awesome. Dude, It was some of the best hunting. It's like an Amazon parking lot now, but there was a little bar there. We'd go out and hunt in the morning. We'd walk up and we'd lean our shotguns in the corner, go in.
Yep.
We'd have a burger and whatever, maybe a beer, maybe not, and then go out and
keep at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. But
I just don't think you see that stuff a whole lot anymore.
No.
Well, cool, man. what is there anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap this
No,
up?
I mean, I just appreciate, like I said, I appreciate you having me here, and I appreciate again everything that the community does for us. It's not just my wife and I anymore. We've got a whole team of people that are all, that's what they do all day, every day. So like when you're buying our gear, I mean, it's not going to some, corporate board, or, it's going to people there in Rapid City who are building the gear and have families to support, and not that, and we also try to build really cool gear, really tough gear, and we stand behind it. So like, it's good to see, as we support the shooting communities support us. And, if anybody ever has any questions about stuff, or, call up, because it's only going to be one of like 3 people who answer the phone, and we'll be able to help you out and take care of you and get you on your way. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Do you still do the custom embroidery thing?
We can. I really avoid embroidery. I really avoid. So, and it really depends, because what's hard, if it's just simple text, we can do those pretty quick. If it's crazy designs, they get
like sugar skulls.
Well, it's just because you have to get it it's a
CNC
CNC program.
That quick, because
that's what's funny. We were talking. So, Kirk and I were talking this before the show. I remember when he reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, can you put a sugar skull on a Big Boss bag?" I'm like, "I don't know, but I'll figure it out." And so this was done in my garage I found the file this morning, so I was looking for a different embroidery file back in 2016. And so, yeah, but like, so it's the programming of this logo is what is time consuming and tedious, or expensive, to get it right. So like, but if it's just text, like we can just type those in. But yeah, it's kind of neat to see. It's like a time machine. Like,
well, Dustin's like, he's like, "Remember that sugar skull?" I was like, "Oh yeah, this one I pulled out of that."
Yeah, that was cool. So cool.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Coming out here.
Yeah.
First, well, I guess it's not the official first in-person interview, but it's definitely the first one that's been live. It's the first one that's been live streamed. That's for sure. And
I'll take that.
And it's the first one that's been recorded like officially in studio here.
Perfect.
Which is cool. So I appreciate you coming out. That's awesome. With that, everybody, man, you got questions or comments or concerns for me, Kirk at precisionriflemedia.com, or if you got for Cole-Tac, you can see www.cole-tac.com. All the information is there. I'm sure there's contact us, give you the phone numbers and emails and all that jazz.
Yep.
So with that, everybody, man, I appreciate you listening and watching. Take care. Try to get to the range, and I'll talk to y'all next week. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.